Hey everyone, and welcome to this new version of this Legion Tower Defense 2 splitting guide. I know there's already an old video about it, but it was with bad quality, especially the sound quality wasn't that perfect. And I'm gonna show you how to split with this better quality and for everyone out there who doesn't know it yet. But what is splitting actually? You probably, if you've seen some streams or just watched your opponents or your teammates play, you might have seen people build the majority of the units on one side and some small units, for example like those bomb warriors now, on the other side. This is called splitting. You basically split the incoming units into two parts. Why do we split? There's actually several reasons why we split. The first one is to minimize the value you need to hold the wave. Due to the fact that we split, we will have to attack less units at a time. And since you concentrate your majority of the wave on one side, most of the time it's the left side, those units won't get attacked as hard as they would do if they had to defend themselves against the whole wave. So they will take less damage and this way reduce the value you need to hold the wave. Next is you can control the wave and especially the tanks that are sent into you, the mercenary tanks. This is a very relevant information the higher you climb. With splitting you will be able to determine whether you want your biggest tank on your main side or in a split side. The third reason is you get a lot more time. This is especially great for units that ramp up, for example Fatalizers or Halo, even the Doppelganger, or that are summoning units, for example the LOD or the Harbinger, the Gates. They all get a lot more time to either ramp up or just produce more mana to unleash their power over the time. So those are great things to do if you want to just maximize your build, maximize the possibilities your build can do, and those 3 points are all possible with splitting. Now the question is, when do we split? And the answer is quite simple. You basically split always. There's only one thing you don't split, and this is AoE units. If you have AoE units, you want to target as many units as possible. AoE units in that concern are Flower and Pyro at the moment. There are probably gonna be units that get into the slot of full AoE because they can target unlimited units, and at the moment it's only Flower, Pyro, and in some ways the Boar as well. And you don't want to split with those units. With any other units, you want to split to get the benefits from the 3 just named points. Now it gets a little bit tricky. How do we split? And here comes the trick. I'm now gonna show you the easiest form of the split, the most common form of the split, which I call the standard split. There's a lot of possible changes to it. People like to build on the right side and not on the left, but this is the most basic split. The most informations are known about this way of splitting, and I'm gonna tell you about this. If you want to know more about it, you have to find out. You can go to the sandbox and test your stuff out, but if you have this knowledge, don't worry, you could already play top 10, at least from knowing how to split. Alright, let's get started. For the most common split, there's 2 versions of it. The one I like the most is left side, second column, you have your unit, and then you have equal height your split, like this. The same can be done if your highest unit on the left side, it has to be melee unit, is half square higher, like this. Those are the 2 choices you can do to have a normal split. Keep in mind, those units represent the highest melee unit on each side. In a split, it could also be a ranged unit, but especially in the main wave, you want to have melee units in the best case. It's also possible to have ranged units, but it might be a little bit different then. But this as a base variant. Let's name those sides. We have the main side or the strong side, and we have the split side. So the main side, the strong side on the left, and the split side on the right in this case. And now, how will units behave? Splitting will only control those mercenaries that spawn in front of the wave, which are the snail, the dragon turtle, the fiend, the dino. Then we have the ghost knight, we have the ram, and the kraken. Those are the units that are marked as tank and will spawn in front of the wave. If you send a selection of units, let's say we send a kraken, we send a ghost knight, and we send a dino. Those units will always come in the same order, and this order is by price. So the most expensive unit here, the kraken, will sit in the middle. The next unit by price is the ghost knight, and it will be placed on the left to it, on our view. And last but not least, a dino will then be placed on the other side of the kraken, on the right side. So when we have this split now, we will have the kraken in the middle, we have the ghost knight on the left side, and the dino on the right. What matters now is whether the number of tank mercenaries is odd or even. With an odd number, all the units positioned to the left of the kraken and the kraken itself will move to the strong side, while the rest will move to the right side, or the split side. With an even number, we will have all the units positioned on the left of the kraken go to one side, and the kraken and the other units going to the left side. This is due to the fact that with an even number, the last unit that was placed was on the left side. So if we basically split it 50-50 in terms of how many tanks are sent, there will be 50% of the tanks going to the split side and 50% going to the strong side. As an example, the three mercenary tanks we have right now is the kraken, the ghost knight, and the dino. The dino will go to the split because it's an odd number on the right side. The kraken, the ghost knight, will go to the strong side on the left. Let me show you. As we can see, it works out perfectly. But let's as well have a look at an example with an even number of tank mercenaries. This time we just add one more dino. So we will have kraken spawning in the middle. Next on we have the ghost knight spawning to the left of it. Then the dino spawning to the right of the kraken, and the next dino again going to the left of the kraken. Boom. Since now it's an even number, we will split 50% of the tanks will go to the left side, which will now be the dino and the ghost knight, and 50% of the tanks will go to the right side, which is now going to be the kraken and the dino. Let me show you. And voila, this is how splitting basics work. If you know those concepts, splitting is quite simple. So now what you've learned in this video is why splitting is important. It gives you time, it lets you control the wave, and you're even able to save value that you can invest in worker and push more. Now you as well know whether you have to add another snail to your tank line in order to have your main tank go left or right, if the opponent is having the normal split. So keep that in mind while sending. You can just check out the opponent's build, see, okay, he does have a basic split. How many tanks can I send that my whatever kraken goes to the left, and how many tanks do I have to send that my kraken goes to the right? Just remember again, even in odd numbers, and what is your most expensive tank? Those are the two questions you have to ask yourself. There is not really a rule how many units you have to build on each side. It's always depending a little bit on what units do you have. If you have a lot of ramp up, just build a bit more units in a split. If you have something you protect, just build a few units in a split to get the benefits of controlling the wave a little bit and of the little bit of time delay your fighters will have to fight against half the wave only. So always fit the split to your build. You will get to know into it. Rather do the split a little bit heavier than a little bit too low in the beginning, but you will find the right mix. And now to the end of the video, I'm gonna show you one trick you won't wanna miss in the future, which is range splitting. Range splitting, you just build everything as I did before, but you will add some small units in this mirrored L form down there. Keep in mind that you have to build a little bit more than one or two, and in the best case always have them in the range to reach the next unit in front of it. Those range splitting units will give you even more time. Polys are the best unit for it because they're very cheap, but it works as well with Mask, it even works with bazookas or boosted peewees, but obviously they're a lot more expensive and not as valuable as polys in this case. But what will happen with the range split? The units that are pathing towards your split will now also have to fight their way through the ranged units in this L shape till they finally reach the main side. Range split will always be great if you have melee units on your main side. If you have ranged units, make sure to place them at the wall, and especially not in this area, because there they might be forced to tank. If you want this, for example with the banana bank, it's fine, but keep in mind that as well Rangers, Tempest or Zeus could be sniped in this position. I hope you've learned a lot in this splitting guide. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments, and yeah, just tell me how it works out for you. Have a good time and good luck in your ranked games.